college football right now and college football's future, there's a lot of consternation and debate out there about what state the sport is in. And of course, when you can't see around the corner, sometimes you have a proclivity to fear the worst. And if I can't see around the corner, if it's foggy, or in our case, in college football, if conferences are realigning, if a couple of conferences seem to be dwarfing the others, if NIL and the portal seem really out of control and I'm uncomfortable as a fan and these players feel like mercenaries and a lot of coaches move around, it feels like a mercenary sport. Where's the tradition? Where's the spirit? Well, that's not a really fun way to think, although I myself have been guilty of saying at least some of those things lately. But I do want you to rest assured tonight, in the interest of having a very happy show, heading into a happy Easter weekend, sport's in a pretty good spot, guys. It is not immune to maybe some self-inflicted damage, but the sport's in a really good spot. But if you don't believe me, I'm going to give you my reasons, okay? Number one, when we go on the road in the fall, we meet a lot of people. When we go on the road in the spring, we meet a ton more people. It's a relaxed setting. You can get in town for multiple days. You're talking not just to coaches and athletic directors, but you're talking to people in communications departments. You're talking to people high up in athletics departments. You're talking to people on the broadcast side. Basically, what I'm saying is it's a lot of people who have their hand on the lever. A lot of people who are in either highly influential or in some cases outright decision-making roles. You hear about the bad ones. There are a ton of really good folks in college athletics. And maybe at the beginning, when things started to shift, they kind of sat back and said, whoa, what's going on here? Let me stay out of the way. Well, then they realized if they stay out of the way, someone else is going to come in and grab the wheel. And that someone else may not have any business around a college football decision-making role. So what I've experienced and what has been echoed to me by a lot of pretty powerful people in the sport is that time is coming to an end. That time is kind of past. And the folks who you and I, candidly, would have always liked to be in the decision-making positions have sort of started to roll up their sleeves a little bit, and they've sort of gotten after it behind the scenes. You will not see this bear fruit immediately. Just like you didn't see the fruit get poisoned immediately if you don't like the way things are going currently. But there is a lot of urgency. Coaches know it. There's a lot of urgency. Administrators, commissioners in some cases, presidents at universities have a lot of urgency because we're not 1 or 2 miles down a dead-end road. You're several miles down, not too far, certainly not too far, but it's a lot more than a couple of miles. And, you know, if you keep going a little bit further, number one, you could irreparably harm some things that we love. But number two, and this is where I get into the second bucket if you don't believe the first bucket, even if you believe in the heartless, soulless approach of treating college athletics as the mere assets that they are, and even if you believe that it's strictly a bottom line business and let's suck the life out of it, and that's essentially how a lot of you feel like the television executive types think. And I'm not going to tell you some of them don't. Some of them do, some of them don't. But I'm not here to defend these people. I work for them, and I'm not here to defend them. What I will tell you is I talk to them. And some of them, although they would never say, I couldn't care less about the spirit of college sports. Let's just say, for argument's sake, they are the devil reincarnate when it comes to college sports fans. Let's say that's true. Here's what they say. What they say is, we can't damage the asset. We've paid too much money for it. The asset is only worth the billions of dollars that various media organizations are paying if it maintains its maximum value. What does that mean? And this is where it gets really interesting for you guys in Richmond or Valdosta or New Orleans. It means that they need you. Did you notice how I phrased that? You don't need them. They need you. Now, maybe they didn't always realize that, or maybe there was a hubris and sort of an arrogance. You'll always be here. You can't give up football. You won't walk away from football. Well, you walked away from NASCAR. You kind of walked away from pro wrestling. There's no entertainment source in this country or in this world that is immune to bad decision making. They know that. Here's the difference. It's not a lab where you get to experiment with this. You don't experiment with $1.3 billion a year. Nobody does. The richest people on the face of the earth don't do that. And so media organizations don't either, especially when you got folks you have to answer to at the end of the day. They're called shareholders. You have to answer to them. You cannot spend that kind of money on an asset and then participate in activities that damage the asset. So whether you want to believe, like I do, in a lot of good people behind the scenes working for the betterment of college football and college sports overall, again, I believe in that, Whether you want to believe in that or you want to believe that, hey, these people purchased it and couldn't care less about it and it's just a P&L line on a sheet to them, they have to maintain the integrity of it, guys, because otherwise you walk away. And if you walk away, it is bad, bad news for them. So you give it a couple of years, and like I've told you, I think a lot of folks in college athletics right now are kind of holding their breath. A lot of college fans probably holding their breath. You can hold your breath for a little while. Not indefinitely, but a little while. Hold your breath long enough. Saturdays in the fall are still just as pristine as they've always been. When it's Virginia Tech and it's 3rd and 2 and it's early fourth quarter and it's 23-all and you need to convert, those moments feel like they've always felt. No one's thinking about the portal or NIL in that moment. And so as long as we got that, like I've always told you, we got college football. We got a sport. Hold your breath. Give it a couple of years. It's going to take a little while. Folks are going to have to get their hands dirty, but I think those folks are ready to get their hands dirty, and I've been ready, but what can I do? I'm just talking in a microphone.